The snow falls different when you know it might kill someone. That's what I was thinking on November 3rd, 1885, watching white flakes drift past my workshop window like prayers nobody was listening to. I'm 70 years old now, sitting in this same house I built with my own hands 42 years ago, telling this story to my grandson William. The boy is 15, looks just like Ben did, and he wants to know if the stories are true. If I really killed 12 men that winter. I tell him the truth is more complicated than that. The truth usually is. 3 inches. That's what I saw first when I found them in my old horse barn. 3 inches between the bullet hole in that wagon canvas and where the boy's head would have been. I counted it later because details matter when you're trying to understand how close death came. 3 inches between that woman having 2 children or having one. 3 inches between a family surviving or being destroyed. But I'm getting ahead of myself. William wants me to start at the beginning, so I will. My name is Ethan Cole. In 1885, I was 35 years old, and I'd been dead for 4 years. Not literally dead, you understand, but the kind of dead that walks around pretending to be alive. For the grief, before the ranch, I was a cowboy. Spent 10 years after the war working cattle drives from Texas to Montana. Lived in the saddle more than in a bed. Learned to rope, brand, and read cattle better than I could read people. Saved every dollar from those years until I had enough to buy this land in 1878. Traded my bedroll under the stars for a house with 4 walls. Traded working other men's cattle for running my own herd. But the skills stayed. Once a cattleman, always a cattleman. The kind where you wake up every morning and can't remember why you bothered. I'd lost my wife Rachel when she gave birth to our daughter Anna. Spent 3 years learning to be a father to a little girl while trying not to think about the woman who should have been there teaching me. Then scarlet fever took Anna too. 6 years old. Gone in 2 days. After that, I stopped caring about much of anything. Worked the ranch because cattle don't care if you're grieving. Fixed fences because they fall down whether you want them to or not. Lived because dying seemed like too much effort. The morning of November 3rd started like every other morning for 4 years. Coffee at 5, check the horses at 6, repair work until noon. That day, the old barn needed attention. The door was hanging wrong, scraping the ground. I'd been meaning to tear the whole structure down for 2 years, but never found the time. Lucky I didn't. The temperature was 18 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind out of the northwest at 25 miles per hour. Visibility about 200 yards through the snow. I was carrying my Winchester Model 1873, 44/40 caliber, 15 rounds in the magazine. Colt Peacemaker 45 on my hip, 6 rounds loaded. You don't walk your own land unarmed in Montana, not if you're smart. I heard them before I saw them. 3 riders moving fast through the snow, not travelers, not hunters. These were men chasing something. Then I saw the tracks. Small footprints, fresh, barefoot in the snow, leading into my old barn. 20 years in the Army teaches you to assess situations fast. 3 riders meant 3 guns minimum. Possibly more if whoever they were chasing was armed. The barn had 2 exits, easily surrounded. But I knew every inch of this land, and they didn't. Advantage mine. I circled around back, kept low, pressed against the weathered wood. Through a gap in the boards, I could see them. A woman, maybe late 20s, clothes torn, hair wild, 2 children pressed against the far wall. She had her hands over their mouths trying to keep them quiet. The older one, a boy, maybe 9 years old, was shaking but not crying. The younger one, a girl around 5, had eyes wide with terror. They hadn't seen me. They were watching through cracks in the front wall, staring at the 3 horsemen approaching. I looked where they were looking. Saw an overturned wagon 50 yards south. Broken wheel. Canvas ripped. And there, clear as day, a bullet hole. I traced the angle, estimated where a child sitting in that wagon would have been positioned. 3 inches. The bullet had missed by 3 inches. These people had been shot at. Were still being hunted, and they'd made the mistake of hiding on my land. The riders stopped. One of them dismounted. I recognized him. Tucker Graves. Seen him in Silver Creek 6 months back. Gun for hire. Worked for mining companies in Colorado, doing the kind of work that didn't ask questions. The other 2 I didn't know, but I could read them easy enough. Colt Navy pistols on their hips. Winchesters in their saddle scabbards. These weren't amateurs. Tucker shouted toward the barn. We know she's here somewhere. Check that building. I had maybe 30 seconds before one of them reached the door. 30 seconds to decide what kind of man I was going to be that day. Three choices presented themselves, clear as targets on a range. 1. Stay hidden. Let them handle their own business. None of my concern. 2. Ride to town for the law. 8 miles there and back, they'd find her before I returned. 3. Step in, put myself between armed men and strangers for no good reason except it was the right thing to do. I thought about Rachel, what she would have wanted, what she would have expected from the man she married. I chose 3. Entered through the back door, quiet as a ghost. The woman spun, pointed a Remington double Derringer at my chest. Little .41 caliber pocket pistol. 2 shots. Her hand was shaking so bad I doubted she could hit me at 5 feet. Don't, I whispered. I'm here to help. Why? Her voice was raw. 4 days of not drinking enough water. I'll explain later. Right now, you and those children get behind me. All 3 of you. The boy found his voice, young but steady. Who are you? Owner of this barn. Name's Ethan Cole. Yours? Ben Morrison. Ben, I need you to keep your sister absolutely silent. Can you do that? He nodded. I saw something in his eyes, not just fear, trust, the desperate hope that maybe, finally, an adult could be trusted. I stepped out the front door, Winchester held casual across my body, not aimed, not yet, just ready. Tucker was 10 feet away, hand moving toward his gun when he saw me. Who the hell are you? Ethan Cole, this is my land. Question is, who are you and why are you trespassing on private property? I watched Tucker's eyes calculate, saw him notice how I held the rifle, how I stood, weight balanced, center of gravity low. Saw him wondering. We're looking for someone, Tucker said, keeping his hands visible. Woman with 2 kids. You seen them? No. That's funny, because I see fresh tracks leading right into this barn. Mine came to check the door this morning. Small tracks, real small. Rooster got loose, had to chase it. Makes for short steps. Bad lie, but it bought doubt. Tucker studied me closer. You look familiar. Lots of folks look familiar. What did you do before ranching? Here it was, the moment that would decide if this ended peaceful or bloody. I was a soldier, I said. Let the words hang there, cold as the air. Which side? Union, 47th Colorado Infantry. Tucker's expression changed. What company? Company G, Sharpshooter Division. Served from Chattanooga to Atlanta under Captain William Morrison. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. Sharpshooters weren't regular soldiers. We were specialists, selected for steady hands and colder hearts. Our job was simple. Kill officers, kill artillery spotters, kill anyone important enough that their death would break the other side's will to fight. Average engagement range was 400 yards. Longest shot I ever made was 830 yards. Took a Confederate major off his horse while he was eating breakfast. He never heard the shot that killed him. I'd made 52 kills during the war. 47 of them never knew I was there. Tucker knew what sharpshooters were. Every man who'd seen combat knew. And every man who knew also knew we didn't miss. Not at 20 feet, not at 200, not ever. You're bluffing, Tucker said, but his voice had lost its edge. I never bluff about the war. I let him see my eyes, let him see what 4 years of killing does to a man, how it leaves marks that don't fade, how it makes you calm when you should be scared, because fear left you somewhere between Missionary Ridge and Kennesaw Mountain. There's a reward, Tucker said, trying one more angle. Man named Victor Blackwell is offering $1,000 for that woman. Dead or alive. That's a lot of money. It is. Man could do a lot with that. Could, if he was the kind of man who takes blood money. And you're not? I'm not. 30 seconds of silence. Tucker looking at me, looking at his men, doing the math. 3 against 1 should be easy odds. But not if the one was a trained killer who could drop him before his hand cleared leather. Not if that one had survived 4 years of war by being faster, smarter, and more ruthless than everyone else. We'll be going then, Tucker said finally. Good choice. But we'll be watching. And if you're lying, if she is in there, We'll be back with more men. Bring as many as you want. Won't change anything. They mounted up, rode off, but only 200 yards. Made camp right at the edge of my property line. I could see their fire. They could see my house. The message was clear. They weren't leaving, just waiting. I turned back to the barn. The woman was standing now, children pressed against her sides. She was crying. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank me yet. They'll be back. And next time, they'll bring friends." I looked at the three of them, really looked for the first time. The woman was maybe 5'4", thin in the way that means not enough food for too long. Brown hair, gray-green eyes, hands that showed calluses from real work. Small cut on her forehead, 2 or 3 days old. But what struck me most was how she looked at her children, like a lioness, like she would tear the world apart to protect them. The boy, Ben, was tall for 9, maybe 4'6", broad shoulders that promised strength when he grew, blue eyes that didn't blink when he looked at me. He held a small hunting knife like someone had taught him proper. And he wasn't crying, wasn't complaining. Too old for his age. War does that. So does being hunted. The girl, Rose, was small, blonde hair, hadn't spoken a word. She looked like my Anna. The recognition hit me like a fist. Same age, same size, same way of hiding behind her mother when scared. Her lips were turning blue. Hypothermia starting. "My name is Kate Morrison," the woman said. "These are Ben and Rose. We've been running for 4 days. We have nowhere else to go." "Did you do something to deserve being hunted? Kill someone? Steal?" "No." The pain in her voice was real. "I just refused to marry a man. That's all. I said no." I looked at her eyes, searched for the lie. Didn't find one. "I believe you. But that doesn't change the situation. 3 armed men are camped on my property line. They're not giving up. And you can't run. Not in this weather. Not with those children. We'll leave tonight, after dark. We'll manage somehow. Where, in this snow, without shoes, with 2 kids? You'll die before dawn." Ben spoke up. "Then what do you want us to do, sir?" I looked at this boy, 9 years old, trying to be brave, trying to protect his mother and sister. And I saw what I'd lost. Saw Anna. Saw the courage children have when they love someone more than they fear anything. "Come to my house," I said. "Get warm, eat, rest. Tomorrow we'll figure something out. You don't have to do this." "I know, but this is my land, and on my land, I decide the rules. Now move before they change their minds." 400 yards from the barn to my house. Took 12 minutes with the children moving slow. I carried Rose. She weighed maybe 35 pounds. Dangerously underweight. Kate helped Ben, who was trying to walk, but his feet were frozen. "Mama," Rose said, first words I'd heard from her, voice weak. "I'm cold." "I know, baby," Kate whispered. "Almost there." But she looked at me with a question in her eyes. Whose house? Whose safety? How long could it last? I didn't answer, just kept walking. Because the truth was, even then, I didn't know what I was doing. Only knew that if I let them die, I'd never forgive myself. Some debts you can't pay off. Some ghosts follow you forever. I already had 2, didn't need 3 more. The house I'd built in 1878, Douglas fir timber, granite foundation, 1 story, 4 rooms, root cellar for food storage, big fireplace. I'd stockied wood that morning then without knowing why. Maybe God looks out for fools sometimes. Kate stopped at the door, stared inside like she was seeing heaven. "Go on," I said. She stepped in. Children followed. I shut the door, threw the heavy wooden bolt. Rose nearly collapsed. Her body too cold, hitting warmth too fast. Thermal shock. I set her in a chair 6 feet from the fire. Not too close. That can damage skin. "Ben," I called. "Sit here, hold out your hands." He obeyed. I checked his fingers. Purple tinge, but not black. No frostbite yet. "Lucky, wiggle them, don't stop." "Yes, sir." Kate stood in the middle of the room, lost. "Sit down," I pointed to another chair. "I'm fine." "Sit. You're no good to your children if you pass out." She sat. I went to the kitchen, got the pot of beef stew I'd made that morning, still warm on the stove. Ladled 3 bowls, brought them out. "Eat slow," I warned. "Your stomachs won't handle it if you rush." They didn't listen. Ate like wolves. I filled the bowls again. This time they slowed down. While they ate, I observed, details matter. Kate ate with proper form despite her hunger. Someone had taught her manners. Ben fed his sister first before touching his own food. Good brother. Rose held her spoon correctly. Educated family. These weren't poor people. These were people who'd fallen. After they finished, Ben asked, Mr. Cole, why are you helping us? You don't know us. Smart question. Smart boy. You're right, I said. I don't know you, but I know what I see. 3 people running, 2 scared children. A mother trying to keep them alive. That's enough. But you could be killed. I looked at him, straight in the eyes, man to man. You know why I survived the war, Ben? Because I'm not afraid to die. When you're not afraid of dying, you make better decisions. You don't panic. You do what needs doing. But that was before, Dimok. Yes, before I had a reason to live. Now I do. Making sure you don't die on my land. That's reason enough. The word surprised me as much as him. I hadn't known I felt that way until I said it. Hadn't known that part of me was still capable of caring. Kate's tears fell silent. She didn't say anything. Didn't need to. After they finished eating, I showed them to Anna's room. Hadn't opened it in 4 years. Everything exactly as she'd left it. Doll on the bed, small dresses in the closet, hair ribbons on the dresser. Kate stopped at the door. This was your daughter's room. Not a question. A recognition. Yes. I can't take this. You can. Room's been empty 4 years. Anna would want someone using it. Rose looked at the doll. She's beautiful. I knelt down, eye level with this little girl who looks so much like my own. Her name is Margaret. My daughter loved her very much. Will you keep her safe? Rose nodded seriously. I promise. Then she's yours. Kate tried not to cry. Failed. I left them to rest. Took my Sharps rifle. Model 1874 4570 government cartridge, 30-inch barrel. The gun I trusted most. 45 caliber bullet, 70 grains of powder, 405 grain projectile, effective range 1,000 yards, killing range 3,500 yards theoretical. Rate of fire 8 to 10 rounds per minute for an experienced shooter. I had 60 rounds total, 20 on my belt, 40 in the house. Went out to the porch. Temperature had dropped to -12. Wind died down, moon bright, snow reflecting light like day. I could see their campfire, 250 yards southeast, right where I predicted. Close enough to watch, far enough to avoid Winchester range, but not far enough for the Sharps. If I wanted, I could end it now. 3 shots, 3 dead men. Nobody would know. Bury them come spring when the snow melts. But I didn't shoot. You know why, William? Because the war was over. Because I wasn't a soldier anymore. Because killing men who aren't actively trying to kill you is murder, regardless of what they might do later. And because some part of me, the part Rachel had loved, still believed in law, still believed society had to work, that we weren't animals. Rachel had told me once, war made you a killer, Ethan. Don't let it make you forget how to be human. I kept that promise to her. Even after she was gone, Kate came out, found me standing there. You should be inside, she said. It's freezing. I'm fine. The children are asleep. Good. She stood next to me, looked at the distant fire. They won't give up, she said. I know. You don't have to do this. We could leave at first light and die on the road. No, well, why do you care? Not angry, just exhausted. We're nothing to you. I was quiet for a long time, then told her the truth. 4 years ago, my daughter got sick. I rode 60 miles in a blizzard to find a doctor. Took 3 days. When I got back, she was dead. Kate's breath caught. I spent a long time wondering if someone had been there. If someone had helped when I couldn't. Would she have lived? I turned to face her. I can't change my past, but I can change someone else's. Yours. Those children's. Her tears fell then. Real ones, the kind that come from places too deep for words. My husband died over a year ago, she said. November 1884. 13 months to be exact. Mining accident. They said he owed money. The mine owner, Victor Blackwell, wanted me to pay the debt by marrying him. I refused, and he didn't take no for an answer. He never takes no. Sent men to burn our house, shot at us. We ran. 4 days, 4 nights, no place left to go. I nodded. Now you have one. Here. You don't know Blackwell. He has money, power. He won't stop. Let him come. I've faced worse, and I'm still here. Kate looked at me then. Really looked. Not as a helper, as a person. You're a good man, Ethan Cole. No, I'm just a man doing what should be done. But tomorrow, I continued, we need a plan, because Tucker Graves won't come alone next time, and when he returns, it won't be 3 men anymore. Morning came cold and clear. I woke at 5 like always. Temperature -5. Snow had stopped. Checked Tucker's camp. Fire still burning. They were still there, watching. Made coffee, fried bacon, mixed pancake batter. Ben appeared at 6. Good morning, sir. Call me Ethan. Mr. Cole was my father. Yes, sir, I mean Ethan. Sleep well? Yes, first time in days. Good, you hungry? Very. Food'll be ready soon. But first, you want to learn something? His eyes lit up. Learn what? Survival. How to care for horses. How to shoot. How to read weather. Things a man needs to know. I'm only 9. Anna was 4 when I taught her to ride. Never too young to learn. Ben stood straighter. I want to learn. Good. We'll start after breakfast. And Ben? I see you, Mimitten. I added. If you stay here, you work. No free meals. Understood? Understood. He smiled for the first time I'd seen. Thank you, Ethan. That's how it started, William. Not with heroics, not with violence, but with a tired man deciding that innocent people shouldn't die on his land. With a little boy who needed to be taught how to be strong. With a woman who needed to remember she wasn't alone. Over the next 2 weeks, I taught Ben everything I knew. How to saddle a horse properly, how to check hooves for stones, how to read tracks in snow, how to throw a lasso and build a loop, how to read cattle behavior, know when they're calm or about to bolt. Skills I'd learned working trail drives after the war. Then the harder skills, how to aim a rifle, squeeze, not pull the trigger, control your breathing. The cowboy skills to live, the soldier skills to survive. Rose found a stray cat in the barn. Orange Tabby, she named Whiskey, carried that cat everywhere. Kate tried to stop her, but I said let her. Children need something that depends on them, something that's theirs alone. Kate cooked, cleaned, mended clothes, not charity. Payment for shelter, she understood that, respected it. And slowly, day by day, something changed. The house that had been dead for 4 years started feeling alive again. Laughter at dinner, questions before bed, the sound of children playing. I'd forgotten what that sounded like, how it fills empty spaces, how it makes you remember why living matters. But Tucker and his men stayed on the property line, watching, waiting. And I knew they were sending word back to Colorado, calling for reinforcements. The storm was coming. I could feel it. 2 weeks after that first day, Tucker rode up to the house. Alone this time. Bold or desperate, hard to say which. I met him on the porch, Winchester ready. Come to talk, Cole, he called out. Just talk. Talk then. From there. Blackwell's offering $2,000 now. That's a fortune. Don't care. You will when he gets here. He's coming himself. With 12 men. Maybe more. My gut tightened, but I kept my face blank. When? Week, maybe less. He's not patient anymore. Tell him to save himself the trip. Tucker actually laughed. You really think you can stop him? 1 man against Blackwell's whole crew? Won't be just one. Who else you got? That woman? Those kids? I've got someone. Someone Blackwell should remember from the war. Tucker's smile faded. Who? Man named Samuel Hayes. Used to be a captain in the Union Army. Now he's a U.S. Marshal. And he owes me his life from a fight at Peachtree Creek. I saved him when he was bleeding out with a Confederate bayonet through his shoulder. Sat with him for 3 hours while the battle raged. held his wound closed with my bare hands. This was true, all of it. Sam Hayes and I had written letters for 15 years after the war. He'd told me if he needed anything, you never just ask, never twice thought I'd need to call that debt. But I had sent a letter 2 days ago, fast rider to Helena. Sam would come. I knew he would. Tucker's confidence cracked. Marshall's got no jurisdiction here. He does if I say there's been threats against my life on my own property, which there have been. Blackwell's not scared of one Marshall. Then he's a fool, because Sam Hayes doesn't come alone, and federal law beats mining company money every time. Tucker turned his horse. You're making a mistake, Cole. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Tucker was about to turn his horse when he paused. Something shifted in his expression. Not quite sympathy, more like professional courtesy between men who understood violence. There's one more thing you should know, Cole, he said quietly. Something Blackwell didn't tell his other men. Only told me because I'm the one leading this operation. Sam stepped closer. What thing? Your property, this land you built on. Tucker gestured around. Sits right on top of a major silver deposit. Blackwell's geologist confirmed it 2 months ago. One of the richest veins in Montana territory. My blood went cold. You're lying. Wish I was. Would make this job simpler. Tucker's face was grim. Blackwell planned to take this land one way or another. The woman showing up here just gave him a convenient excuse to come sooner. Figured he'd kill you, claim you died defending criminals, and buy the property from the territorial government for pennies. So this was never just about Kate, Sam said. It was always about the land. The woman was just a bonus, a way to make it look justified. Tucker met my eyes. You were a dead man the moment that geologist's report reached Blackwell's desk. Even if you'd handed over Mrs. Morrison tied up with a bow, he still would have killed you. Probably would have burned this house, claimed you died in the fire, and filed claim papers the next day. Why tell me this? I demanded. Tucker shrugged. Because you saved my life just now, when you could have shot me during that parley, and because I'm starting to realize Blackwell's not the kind of man I want to die for. Rich is one thing, evil's another. I've done bad things, Cole, but I draw a line at killing a man for his land while pretending it's about something else. He kicked his horse into motion. Doesn't change what's coming. Blackwell's still bringing those men. Still planning to kill you all. I'm just giving you the full picture. Do with it what you will. He rode off. This time his camp broke up. They left. But I knew it wasn't over. They were going back to report, to bring more men, to prepare for the fight. I had maybe 5 days, a week at most. That night, after the children slept, Kate found me on the porch again. You called in help, she said. Yes. Will this Marshall Hayes really come? He will. I saved his life. Men like Sam don't forget that. And if Blackwell comes first? I looked at her, then we fight. Ethan, I can't ask you to die for us. You're not asking. I'm choosing. She was quiet for a moment, then, why? Really why? It can't just be about Anna. I thought about that, gave her the real answer. When Rachel died, part of me died too. When Anna died, the rest followed. For 4 years, I've been a ghost, going through motions, existing, not living. I met her eyes. Then you and those children showed up. Needed help, needed someone to stand between them and evil. And for the first time since Anna's funeral, I felt something, purpose, anger, the will to fight for something that matters. You brought me back to life, Kate Morrison. Gave me a reason to care if I see tomorrow. That's worth more than safety, more than peace, more than anything. She kissed me then, sudden, surprising, brief, pulled back fast. I'm sorry, she said. I shouldn't have. Don't be sorry. My husband just died. It's too soon. I'm not ready for. I know, it's fine. I'm not expecting anything. But something had changed. We both felt it. Not love yet. Too soon for that. But the beginning of something. Trust, companionship, the recognition that two broken people might be able to fix each other. 5 days later, Sam Hayes arrived, rode up alone, wearing a Marshall star, gray in his beard, but still strong. 52 years old and still dangerous. Ethan Cole, he said, dismounting. Been too long. Sam, thank you for coming. You saved my life. This is nothing. He looked at the house. Heard you had guests and trouble. Both. Tell me everything. I did. Took an hour. Sam listened without interrupting. When I finished, he nodded. Blackwell. Know of him. Federal investigators have been watching him for 2 years. Fraud, extortion, suspected murder of his first wife. But no evidence. No witnesses willing to talk. Well, what about the mining accident? Kate's husband? If we can prove it was intentional, that's federal murder. That would put Blackwell away forever. Can you prove it? Maybe, if the widow will testify, if we can find other witnesses, if we can protect them long enough to get to trial. That's a lot of ifs. It is, but it's better than shooting it out. Because Ethan, even if you win that fight, law won't see it as self-defense. They'll see a rancher who killed a wealthy businessman and his men. You'll hang. He was right. I'd been so focused on survival I hadn't thought past the fight. So what do we do? Sam smiled. We outsmart him, make him make mistakes, get him to confess, and we do it legal so it sticks. That night we made our plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than dying. And so we waited for Victor Blackwell to come, for the storm to break, for everything to come to a head. That's where this part of the story ends, William. With waiting, with preparation, with the knowledge that violence was coming, but hoping, praying, that maybe there was another way. Your father, Ben, he learned a lot those weeks. How to be strong, how to be patient, how to trust. Those lessons served him well his whole life. Served you too, since he passed them to you. The next part of the story is harder. More blood, more pain, but also more hope. Because sometimes, William, the darkest moments lead to the brightest dawn. Sometimes you have to walk through hell to find heaven on the other side. But that's a story for tomorrow. Right now, it's late. Snow's still falling, and an old man needs his rest. Come back tomorrow. I'll tell you what happened when Victor Blackwell finally arrived. When 12 armed men surrounded this house. When your grandmother Kate picked up a rifle for the first time in her life. And when I had to decide exactly how far I was willing to go to protect the family I'd found. Sleep well, boy. And remember, being a man isn't about how many people you can hurt. It's about how many you can save. William came back the next evening, right after his chores were done. Good boy, responsible. Reminds me why I'm telling this story in the first place. Some things need to be passed down, even the hard parts, especially the hard parts. He sat in the same chair, eager eyes waiting. Snow was falling again outside, heavier than yesterday. Makes me think of that winter, 35 years ago now, when everything changed. You stopped at the part where Marshal Hayes came, William said. Where Blackwell was on his way with 12 men. What happened next? I took a sip of coffee, let the warmth settle in my bones. These old hands don't hold heat like they used to. What happened next was waiting, I said, and teaching, because we had maybe a week before Blackwell arrived, and I'd promised to teach Ben Morrison how to be a man. Seemed important to keep that promise, given what was coming. The morning after Sam Hayes arrived, I found Ben already awake at dawn. Kid was standing by the window, watching the sun come up over the mountains. Something old in his eyes. Too old for 9 years. Can't sleep? I asked. Had a dream about my father, Ben said. He was telling me something important, but I couldn't hear the words. I knew that feeling, had those dreams about Rachel for years. Still do sometimes. Your father, I said. What kind of man was he? Good, strong. He worked in the mines because it paid better than farming. Wanted to save enough to buy land, build something for us. Ben's voice got quiet. He died trying to give us a better life. Then he succeeded. How? We lost everything. You're alive. Your mother's alive. Your sister's alive. That's not nothing, Ben. That's everything. I paused. I understand that dream. Wanting land of your own. I was a cowboy for 10 years after the war. Worked the big cattle thieves, spring drives north from Texas, fall roundups in Montana. Slept on the ground, ate dust, got thrown from horses, trampled by steers, caught in stampedes, all to save money for land, for something that was mine. Your father wanted the same thing. He was working toward it. That makes him a good man. Then he succeeded. How? We lost everything. You're alive. Your mother's alive. Your sister's alive. That's not nothing, Ben. That's everything. The boy thought about that, nodded slow. Come on, I said. Time for your first real lesson. We went to the barn, 3 horses waiting. My big roan stallion, Sergeant, the mare, Duchess, and a young gelding, Scout, who was gentle enough for learning. Today you learn what every cattleman in Montana needs to know, I told him. How to handle a horse. Not just ride, handle. There's a difference. I learned this working cattle drives after the war. 10 years on the trail, you either master horses or you don't survive. A cowboy's horse is his life, his transportation, his partner, sometimes his only friend for months at a time. I spent the next 2 hours teaching him proper. How to approach from the tee, never straight on. How to read a horse's ears, know its mood. How to check hooves for stones and cracks. How to brush down, working with the grain. How to saddle correctly, checking the cinch 3 times because a loose saddle can kill you faster than a bullet. Ben listened like his life depended on it. Maybe it did. Why 3 times? He asked about the cinch check. Because horses are smart. They puff up their bellies when you first tighten the strap. Makes it loose later. You check once, wait 5 minutes, check again. Wait 5 more, check 3rd time. Then it's right. That's a lot of checking. Death comes from not checking enough. Remember that. Sam Hayes watched from the barn door. When we finished, he pulled me aside. You're good with the boy. He's a good student. Reminds you of yourself, doesn't he? I didn't answer. Didn't need to. Sam had known me long enough to read silences. Ethan, Sam said, voice dropping low, we need to talk about what's coming, about what you're prepared to do. I'll do what needs doing. That's what worries me. You were the best shot in the regiment, maybe the best I ever saw, but that was war. This is different. How? In war, killing is legal, expected. Out here, it's murder unless you can prove self-defense. And proving that when you're a sharpshooter who could have shot to wound instead of kill, that's hard. I understood what he was saying. My skill was my liability. A regular man shooting to defend his home, that's understandable. A trained killer dropping men with precision shots, that looks like execution. So what do you suggest? We make this about law, not guns. Get Blackwell to incriminate himself, record his confession, arrest him legally, put him on trial. And if he doesn't confess? If he just comes here shooting? Sam's face hardened. Then we defend ourselves. But we try the legal way first. Give civilization a chance to work. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe law could solve this, but I'd seen too many wars, too many bad men walk free because they had money and power. Victor Blackwell was that kind of man. Still, I agreed. We'd try it Sam's way first. Over the next 3 days, I taught Ben everything I could. How to shoot, starting with a .22 rifle because the recoil wouldn't hurt him. How to breathe, hold steady, squeeze, not jerk the trigger. How to estimate distance by counting fence posts, telegraph poles, known landmarks. How to account for wind by watching grass, tree branches, smoke. He was a natural. Hit 7 out of 10 targets at 50 yards by the 3rd day. That's better than most men I'd trained in the Army. You've got the hands for it, I told him. Steady, patient. That matters more than strength. Will I have to shoot someone? He asked one afternoon. Direct question. Deserved a direct answer. Maybe, I hope not. But if those men come and try to hurt your mother or sister, you need to be ready. I don't want to kill anyone. Good. That means you're human. The day killing becomes easy is the day you stop being a person worth saving. Ben looked at me with those serious eyes. Have you killed a lot of people? Yes. Does it bother you? Every single one, even the ones who deserved it. Then why did you do it? Because sometimes, I said carefully, the world gives you no good choices. Only bad ones and worse ones. And you have to pick the less bad option and live with it. He thought about that for a long time, finally nodded. I understand. God, I hoped he'd never truly have to. While I worked with Ben, Kate learned too. Sam taught her basic legal rights, what to say if questioned, how testimony worked in court. I taught her to shoot. She was worse than Ben at first, flinching every time the gun fired, but she got better. By the end of the week, she could hit a man-sized target at 25 yards. Not great, but enough to make someone think twice. Rose was harder. She barely spoke, stayed close to Kate or Ben, only showed life when playing with that orange cat, Whiskey. Sometimes I'd catch her looking at Anna's doll, Margaret, like she was afraid it might disappear. One evening, I found her in Anna's room brushing the doll's hair. She jumped when she saw me, like she'd been caught doing something wrong. "It's okay," I said. "The doll likes being brushed." "Are you sure?" "Very sure. Anna used to brush her hair every night before bed." Rose held the doll tighter. "Does she miss Anna?" The question hit me like a gut punch. "Probably. Same way Anna would miss her." "Is Anna in heaven?" "I believe so." "My papa's in heaven too. Mama said so." I sat down on the floor, putting myself at her eye level. "I'm sure they've met by now. Anna would like your papa. She liked everyone who was kind." Rose thought about this. "Do you think they're watching us?" "Maybe. I hope so." "Then they know you're taking care of us." Her small face got serious. "My papa would like that. He'd say thank you." I had to turn away. Couldn't let this little girl see how much her words affected me. How they reached into places I'd thought were dead and made them hurt again. Good hurt, though. The kind that means you're still alive. "You're welcome," I managed. "Now it's bedtime, come on." She let me tuck her in. Kate came to say goodnight. We stood in the doorway together, watching Rose hug the doll close. "She talks to you," Kate said quietly. "She barely talks to anyone anymore, but she talks to you." Maybe because I understand loss. Children know these things. Kate turned to face me. We were close, closer than proper. I could smell lavender. Must have found some soap in the house. Kate turned to face me. We were close, closer than proper. I could smell lavender. Must have found some soap in the house. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything." "Before all this, before Rachel and Anna, before the ranch, what were you?" "A cowboy. Started right after the war ended. I was 20. Didn't know what else to do with myself. Army was done with me, but I wasn't ready for settled life. So I signed on with a cattle outfit heading north from Texas." "What was it like?" "Hard, beautiful, lonely. You spend months with the same 15 men, moving thousands of cattle across open country. You learn who you can trust, who will stand with you when a river's flooding or a storm's coming or cattle start running. I learned more about being a man on those drives than I did in 4 years of war." "Why did you stop?" "Met Rachel. She was a schoolteacher in a town we passed through. Something about her made me want to stop moving, want to build something that lasted. So I bought this land, built this house, started my own herd. Thought I'd found my forever." My voice caught. "Didn't work out that way." Kate squeezed my hand. Then she asked, "Ethan, after this is over, after Blackwell, what happens to us?" "Ethan," she said, "after this is over, after Blackwell, what happens to us?" "What do you want to happen?" "I don't know. 6 months ago, I was a widow with nothing. Now I have shelter, safety, someone who actually cares if we live or die. It's more than I dreamed possible." "That doesn't answer the question." She touched my hand, brief, gentle. "I don't know if I'm ready for more than what we have now. James died 13 months ago. My heart is still healing. I know I'm not asking for more. But you want more. I can see it in how you look at me, at the children." She was right. Somewhere over the past 3 weeks, this family had stopped being guests and started being something else. Something that felt like mine to protect, mine to care for, mine to love. "What I want," I said carefully, "is for you to be safe, happy, free. If that's here with me, good. If that's somewhere else, also good. I'm not trying to replace James. I'm just trying to be here now." Kate's eyes got wet. "You're a rare man, Ethan Cole. Or just a lonely one who found something worth keeping." She kissed my cheek. Soft, quick. Then went to her room before either of us could say more. Sam found me on the porch an hour later, keeping watch like always. "You care about them," he said, not a question. "Yes." "That's dangerous. Makes you emotional. Makes you liable to do something stupid if they're threatened. I know. And you're going to do it anyway. Yes, Sam sighed, pulled out a pipe, lit it. We stood in silence for a while, watching the snow fall. Got a telegraph from Helena today, he said finally. Federal investigators found something. Seems 3 other mines owned by Blackwell had accidents in the past 5 years. Each time someone had complained about safety violations. Each time that person died in the collapse. So he's done this before. Multiple times. It's his pattern. Someone threatens his profits. He arranges an accident. Then he offers to help the widow. If she refuses, well, accidents can happen to anyone. My hands tightened on the porch rail. How many? 7 confirmed deaths. Probably more we haven't found yet. 7 men murdered, 7 families destroyed. And Victor Blackwell walked free because he had money and lawyers and people willing to look the other way. We need to stop him, I said. We will, but legally. By the book. So he can't wiggle free with technicalities. And if your legal way doesn't work? Sam looked at me with old soldier's eyes. Then we do it the other way, but we try law first. Promise me, Ethan. I promise. I meant it too. At the time. Tucker Graves showed up again on the 5th day, this time with 2 others. They stopped at the property line, made no move to approach, just sat on their horses, watching. Sam and I walked out to meet them, stopped 30 yards away, speaking range but not shooting range. Marshall, Tucker nodded, respectful but wary, didn't know the federal government cared about domestic disputes. Federal government cares when wealthy men abuse their power to terrorize widows and children, Sam said. Also cares about suspicious mining accidents and fraudulent debt claims. Tucker's face went careful. Don't know what you mean. Sure you do. You're smart enough. Question is whether you're smart enough to step away before you go down with Blackwell. I work for Mr. Blackwell. He pays good money. Blood money from extortion and murder. Federal prosecutor is very interested in talking to people who worked for him, offering immunity for testimony. This was a bluff. Sam didn't have authority to offer immunity, but Tucker didn't know that. Even if that were true, Tucker said slowly, I've got nothing to testify about. No, you didn't burn Kate Morrison's house? Didn't shoot at her wagon with children inside? Didn't chase them across 2 territories? I was following orders. Following orders didn't work at Nuremberg, won't work here. You pulled the trigger, you're responsible. Tucker's jaw worked. He was thinking, calculating. I could see the gears turning. Stay loyal to Blackwell and risk hanging, or turn on him and maybe walk free. How much immunity? He asked finally. Sam hid his surprise well. Depends what you know, what you can prove. I know plenty about the Morrison mine, about the others, about how Blackwell works. Then you should come with me. Official statement, protected custody. You testify, you walk. And if I don't, then you hang alongside him when this is done. The 2 men with Tucker looked nervous. They weren't as deep in as Tucker, probably just hired guns who thought this was a simple job. Give me time to think, Tucker said, 24 hours. Then I assume you've chosen wrong. They rode off. Sam and I walked back to the house. You think he'll turn? I asked. Maybe. Depends how scared he is of Blackwell versus how scared he is of the rope. What if he warns Blackwell we know about the other mines? Then Blackwell comes faster, angrier, more desperate. Sam looked at me. You ready for that? Been ready since the day I found them in my barn. That night we fortified, moved furniture to block windows, stacked sacks of grain as barriers, positioned water buckets for fire, checked ammunition counts. I had 200 rounds for the Winchester, 100 for the Sharps, 50 for the Colt. Sam had similar. Kate had 40 rounds for a borrowed rifle. Ben had 22 rounds for his .22, which wouldn't stop a man, but might slow one down. If they come, Sam said, gathering us together, they'll try to burn us out. Standard tactic. Force us into the open. The house is stone and timber, I said. Won't burn easy. Doesn't have to burn completely. Just make enough smoke to blind us. Then they rush. So we stop them before they get close enough to start fires. That's the plan. Kate looked pale, but determined. What do I do? You stay with Rose in the cellar. If they breach the house, you have one job. Keep her safe. There's a tunnel back there, hidden behind the storage shelves. Goes 50 yards east, comes up in the old root cellar. Use it if you have to. I dug that tunnel during the first year after Anna died. Paranoid thinking, I'd thought at the time. Now it might save lives. What about Ben? Kate asked. Ben stays with me, up in the loft. Best vantage point. He's 9 years old, and he shoots better than most grown men I've met. He'll be safe up there, I promise. Ben stood straighter, trying to be brave, trying to be the man his father would have wanted. Kate hugged him tight. You listen to Ethan. Everything he says, promise me. I promise, Mama. And if something happens to me, nothing's happening to you, I cut in. To any of you. That's not how this ends. I said it with more confidence than I felt. We waited through the night, nothing. Dawn came cold and clear. Still nothing. Maybe Tucker had taken the deal. Maybe Blackwell had turned back. Maybe. Then, around noon, we saw them. Not 12 men, 20. Blackwell had brought even more than expected. They came from the south, spreading out in a wide line. Professional formation. These weren't just hired guns. These were men who'd done this before. Maybe ex-cavalry, maybe ex-outlaws. Definitely dangerous. At the center rode a man in an expensive coat. Black horse, straight back. Even from 300 yards, I could feel his arrogance. Victor Blackwell had arrived. Sam swore quietly. That's more men than I expected. Can you call for backup? Nearest federal help is 3 days away. Local sheriff is in Blackwell's pocket. Sam checked his rifle. Looks like it's just us. Then it's enough. Ethan, that's 20 armed men against 3. 4 if you count Ben. I know, but they don't know this land, don't know what we're capable of, and they're underestimating us. That's our advantage. The line stopped 200 yards out, well beyond rifle range for most shooters. But not for me, not with the Sharps. A single rider came forward. White flag, Tucker Graves. He's asking to parley, Sam said. Could be a trap. Only one way to find out. Sam walked out to meet him. I stayed on the porch, Sharps ready. If this went wrong, Tucker would die before he cleared his gun. He knew it. I could see him keeping his hands very visible, very still. They talked for maybe 5 minutes. Too far for me to hear. Then Sam came back. Tucker returned to Blackwell's line. What did he say? I asked. Blackwell wants to talk. Just him. No weapons. At that big oak tree, halfway between us. It's a trap, probably. But it's also an opportunity. If I can get him talking, maybe record a confession, we can end this without bloodshed. He won't confess. Men like that never do. Maybe, but I have to try. Sam looked at me hard. If this goes wrong, if they kill me, you get Kate and those kids out through the tunnel. Don't try to be a hero, just run. I'm not leaving you. That's an order, soldier. Old rank pulling. Sam had been a captain. I'd been enlisted. Didn't matter anymore, but the habit ran deep. You're not my commanding officer anymore. Then I'm asking as a friend, if I die, don't waste it. Save them. That's what matters. I wanted to argue, but he was right. The mission wasn't killing Blackwell. It was protecting innocence. Okay, I said, but I'm covering you. Anything looks wrong, I'm shooting. Wouldn't expect anything less. Sam walked out, hands visible, no gun showing, stopped at the oak tree, waited. Blackwell rode forward, dismounted, walked the last 20 feet, also appeared unarmed, though I suspected a hideout gun somewhere. They stood talking. I watched through the sharp scope, could see Blackwell's face. Handsome, well-groomed, confident. The face of a man who'd never been told no and made it stick. Could see Sam's face too. Calm, professional, asking questions. Blackwell answering, probably lies. Then Blackwell smiled, said something that made Sam's back stiffen. Bad sign. Sam turned, started walking back. Blackwell called after him. Sam ignored him, kept walking. Faster now. Blackwell made a gesture. Subtle, prearranged signal. Sam, down, I shouted. Sam dropped. I fired. The Sharps roared, sound rolling across the valley like thunder. 300 yards. Moving target. Wind from the northwest at 10 miles per hour. I aimed for the gun hand of a man on Blackwell's left who'd been reaching for his rifle. Hit him in the shoulder instead. He went down screaming. Not dead, but out of the fight. Everyone froze. That one shot told them everything they needed to know. Told them I was serious. Told them I could hit targets they thought were safe. Told them this wasn't going to be easy. Sam scrambled up, ran for the house, made it behind cover, breathing hard. You hit? I asked. No, but he just told me he's going to kill all of us. Make it look like we fired first. His men will back his story. Local law will believe him. He actually said that? Smiled while he said it, like it was a joke, like we were nothing. That's when I knew. Law wasn't going to save us. Evidence wasn't going to save us. The only thing between those children and death was me, Sam, and how many bullets we had left. Get Kate and Rose to the cellar, I said. Ben up in the loft with me. Sam, you take the east window. I've got south and west. Ethan, they're going to rush us. Let them try. Blackwell rode back to his line, shouted orders. The 20 men began spreading out, surrounding the house. Classic encirclement. Cut off escape routes. Shoot anyone who runs. Here they come, Sam said. They came at dusk. Smart, light fading, harder to shoot accurately. They came from 3 sides at once, firing as they ran. Coordinated attack. These men had training. Windows exploded. Bullets tore through walls. I fired back, working the sharps like it was part of me. 7 shots, 4 hits. Men went down. The others scrambled for cover. Sam was firing too. Winchester cracking steady. Disciplined, aimed shots. More men fell. Ben, next to me in the loft, fired his .22. Small pops compared to our rifles. But I saw one man grab his leg, go down cursing. Kid had hit something. Good shot, I said. Reload, breathe, find another target. Yes, sir. The first wave broke, pulled back, left 3 men lying in the snow. Dead or wounded, couldn't tell. They're testing us, Sam called up, seeing how we respond. Next wave will be harder. How many do you think I got? 4 down, maybe 5. That leaves 15. Still bad odds, but better than 20. They tried burning us next. Torches thrown at the roof, the walls, most didn't catch. Stone doesn't burn, timber was wet from snow. But one torch landed in the hay barn attached to the east side. That burned, smoke billowed, flames rose. Heat began radiating into the house. We need to put that out, Sam said. Can't. Too exposed. They'd pick us off. If it spreads to the main house, it won't. Stone fire break between the barn and house. I built it that way on purpose. 4 years of paranoid preparation paying off. The fire burned itself out after an hour. Barn gone, but house intact. Dark now, full night. They'd have trouble seeing us, but we'd have trouble seeing them too. They'll try sneaking closer, Sam said. Wait for dawn, rush us when we're tired. Then we don't sleep. We watch. Can't watch forever. Don't need forever, just need until Tucker breaks and tells them the truth. That Blackwell's lying, that we're the good ones here. You think Tucker will do that? Men usually choose survival over loyalty when it comes down to it. I was right, just not in the way I expected. Around midnight, we heard shouting from their camp, angry voices, then gunshots, not aimed at us, aimed at each other. What's happening? Ben asked. Civil war, I said. Someone's turned on Blackwell. Through the darkness, we saw men fighting, muzzle flashes, bodies falling. Then a group of 5 broke away, rode hard to the north. Deserters or betrayers, hard to say which. Dawn came. I counted bodies. 15 left, better odds, but still not good. Blackwell himself came forward this time. No white flag, just walked into the open, 30 yards from the house. Cole, he shouted, this ends now. Send out the woman, and I'll let the rest of you live. Not happening, I shouted back. You're going to die for her? For someone you've known 3 weeks? Yes. Why, she's nothing, just a widow who owes me money. She doesn't owe you anything. Her husband died because you cut safety costs. That makes his death your fault. That makes this whole situation your fault. I'm a legitimate businessman. You're a murderer, and when this is over, everyone will know it. Blackwell's face twisted, rage breaking through the civilized mask. Kill them, he screamed to his men. Kill them all. Burn the house. I want them dead. But before they could move, Blackwell stepped forward again. 30 yards from the house, completely exposed, arrogance overriding sense. You want to know the truth, Cole? He shouted, voice cracking with rage. Your precious Kate's husband. I ordered that mine collapse. Personally, he was costing me money with his safety complaints, writing letters to territorial authorities. Had to be eliminated. Sam and I exchanged shocked looks. He was confessing, actually confessing. And you know what? Blackwell continued, lost in his own fury. It worked perfectly. Killed Morrison and two other troublemakers in one cave-in, blamed it on Morrison himself, then offered the widow a generous way out. She should have been grateful. You're admitting to murder, Sam shouted, in front of witnesses. Blackwell laughed, manic, unhinged. What witnesses? You'll all be dead in 10 minutes. My men will testify you fired first, that I tried to negotiate peacefully, that you were harboring a criminal. Local judge is my friend. This all goes away, nice and clean, just like Morrison's death, just like Daniel Webb's death, just like all the others. He was spiraling, losing control, saying things no sane man would admit. 7 men, he screamed. I've arranged 7 mine accidents over 5 years. 7 sets of troublemakers eliminated. 7 widows who learned to keep their mouths shut. 7 problems solved, and nobody could prove a damn thing. Until now, Sam said quietly. Something in Sam's tone made Blackwell freeze, made him realize what he'd just done. Behind us, in the shadows of the house, Captain Harrison of the cavalry had been taking notes, writing down every word, federal witness to a full confession. Blackwell's face went from red to white. No, that doesn't... I didn't... You did, I said. You just confessed to 7 murders in front of a U.S. Army officer. You're done. Kill them, Blackwell screamed again, but this time his voice had panic in it, desperation. Kill them all. Nobody can know what I said. Kill them. They rushed, all 15 at once. Desperation move. Final attack. I fired, reloaded, fired again, sharps getting hot in my hands. Sam firing, Ben firing. Bodies dropping, but still they came. They reached the house, trying doors, windows. One broke through the east window. Sam shot him point blank. Another tried the door. I put a round through it, heard him scream. This was it. Close quarters. No mercy. Kill or be killed. Then, like something in a story, we heard bugles. Cavalry bugles. Real cavalry. United States Army. 12 soldiers on horseback, led by a captain, cresting the ridge. Sam had sent for them days ago. Secret telegram. They'd ridden through 2 territories to get here. Blackwell's men broke, threw down weapons, raised hands, the ones who could still move. It was over. I came down from the loft. Ben followed. We stepped outside. Bodies everywhere. 7 dead, 8 wounded. Tucker Graves among the wounded, gut shot but alive. Sam walked over to him. You going to make that statement now? Tucker coughed blood. Yeah, I'll tell you everything. Just get me a doctor. There's a doc in the cavalry unit. He'll fix you up, then you talk. Blackwell was on his knees, hands bound. The Army captain was reading him charges. Federal charges. Murder. Extortion. Conspiracy. Attempted mass murder of a federal marshal. He'd hang, no question. Kate came up from the cellar, rose in her arms, saw the carnage, saw me covered in gun smoke, saw Ben holding an empty rifle. It's done, Ma, I said. You're safe. She kissed me then, not a peck, a real kiss, long, deep, full of relief and gratitude and something more. Ben looked away, embarrassed. Rose giggled. When Kate pulled back, she was crying. Thank you for everything, for all of this. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. You gave us back our lives. The Army captain came over. Mr. Cole, I'm Captain Harrison. Marshal Hayes sent for us. Said you were defending innocence against unlawful attack. Need your statement for the record. I gave it. Took 3 hours. Then the cavalry left, taking Blackwell and the survivors as prisoners. Tucker Graves among them, living long enough to testify. Sam stayed another week, making sure everything was documented, making sure Kate's legal situation was clear. Debt canceled, property rights restored. She was free. On the day he left, Sam pulled me aside one last time. "You did good here, Ethan. Saved lives, kept your honor. Killed 7 men doing it. 7 men who would have killed you and everyone you cared about. That's not murder. That's justice, Benad Shamamas. Doesn't make it feel better. No, never does. But it was necessary. Remember that." He rode off. I watched until he was out of sight. That night, Kate found me on the porch, our spot now, where we'd stood so many nights watching for danger. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you're free. Can go anywhere, do anything, start over. And if I want to stay here, then you stay. With you? If you want." She took my hand. "The children need a father. I need someone who sees me as more than property, who treats me like a partner." "That what you're asking? Partnership?" "I'm asking if you'd marry me, Ethan Cole, after a proper time for mourning James. After I'm ready, but eventually, would you?" I looked at this woman who'd stumbled into my barn 3 weeks ago, broken and terrified, who was now standing straight, strong, asking me to share her life. "Yes," I said, "when you're ready, however long that takes, yes." She smiled, first real smile I'd seen from her. "Good, then we have time to do this right." And that's how your grandmother Kate and I began, William, not with romance, not with passion, but with respect, with understanding, with 2 broken people deciding maybe together they could be whole. The wedding came 6 months later, small ceremony, just Sam as witness, few neighbors, and the children. Ben stood beside me like a son, rose through flowers like a little angel. I kept teaching Ben, every day, every year, made him the man he became. Your father. We had another daughter 2 years later, named her Rachel Anna after both grandmothers. She grew up strong, fearless, happy. The ranch prospered. Kate proved good with accounts, planning. I handled cattle, land. We were partners in truth. But that winter, those 3 weeks, they changed everything. Taught me that life isn't over just because it feels that way. That family isn't just blood. That second chances come to those brave enough to take them. Tomorrow I'll tell you the epilogue, about the trial, about what happened to Blackwell, about how the story truly ends. But for tonight, that's enough. Go help your grandmother with dinner. She's making stew. Same recipe Kate perfected all those years ago. And William? Remember this. Being a man isn't about fighting. It's about knowing what's worth fighting for and having the courage to protect it, no matter the cost. William came back on the 3rd evening, but this time he wasn't alone. He'd brought his younger brother Thomas, age 12. The boy had my eyes, same gray-blue that Anna had, that Rachel had. Some things pass down through generations, whether we want them to or not. Thomas wanted to hear the ending, William said. If that's okay. I looked at the younger boy, serious face, quiet disposition. Good kid by all accounts, from what Ben told me. You ready for hard truths? I asked him. This isn't a story where everyone lives happily ever after without cost. Life doesn't work that way. Never has. Never will. Thomas nodded slowly, carefully. Pa always said real stories have blood in them. Said sugar-coating truth does more harm than good. Said a man needs to know what his ancestors faced, what they served him, what they paid for the life he's living. Smart kid. Ben had raised him right, raised both of them right, teaching them the old ways, the true ways, the ways that kept men honest and strong. Sit down then, both of you. Let me tell you how it ended and how it began again. Because that's what life is, boys. A series of endings that become beginnings. You just have to be brave enough to see them that way. The weeks after the siege were strange in ways I hadn't anticipated. Quiet in a way that made your ears ring, made your chest feel tight. We'd gotten so used to watching for danger, sleeping light, checking shadows every few minutes. Living on the edge of violence, now there was nothing to watch for. The immediate threat was gone, Blackwell in federal custody awaiting trial. His men scattered like leaves in wind or captured by the cavalry. Tucker Graves gut shot but alive and talking. But the habit stayed. The vigilance remained. War does that to you, even short wars, even wars you win. The hyper-awareness becomes woven into your nervous system, becomes part of who you are. I'd wake at 3 in the morning, rifle in hand, before I was fully conscious, checking windows and doors before I remembered there was no one coming anymore. The enemy was gone. Kate did the same. I'd hear her footsteps, quiet but purposeful, moving through the house in darkness. We'd meet in the kitchen, both embarrassed, both understanding perfectly. No words needed, just a look that said, I know, I feel it too. I can't stop either. How long does it last? She asked one night, pouring coffee neither of us needed. This feeling that they're still out there? Years, I said honestly. Maybe forever. The war ended in 65, 21 years ago. I still check corners when I enter rooms. Still position myself with my back to walls. Still calculate escape routes everywhere I go. That sounds exhausting. It is, but it's also what kept me alive. What kept you alive. What kept all of us alive. So maybe it's not such a bad thing. She sat down across from me. The lamplight caught her face, showed new lines around her eyes. Stress lines, survival lines. Lines that said she'd seen hell and walked back out. I want it to stop, she said. I want to feel safe. Actually safe. Not just temporarily not in danger. Do you understand the difference? I do. Will I ever feel that way again? I didn't want to lie to her, didn't want to give false comfort. She deserved truth. I don't know, some people do, some people never do. Depends on the person, depends on what they saw, what they did, what was done to them. That's not very comforting. No, but it's honest. She smiled despite herself. You're always honest, even when kindness would be easier. Kindness without truth is just pretty lies. You deserve better than that. Ben had nightmares that shook the house. I'd hear him crying out some nights, words I couldn't make out but tone I recognized. Terror, desperation, the sound of someone trapped in memory. I never went to him because he didn't want anyone to know. Pride of a boy becoming a man, shame at showing weakness. I understood that too. Had lived it myself for years after the war. The nightmares where you're back in the fight, where you can't reload fast enough, where the enemy keeps coming no matter how many you drop, where everyone you love dies while you watch helplessly. But I left things outside his door, a glass of water, a piece of cornbread, small things, messages without words, messages that said, I know what you're going through. You're not alone. This is normal. You're not broken. One morning, maybe 2 weeks after the siege, I found a note under my door. Ben's handwriting, careful letters. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for not making me talk about it. Thank you for just being there. I kept that note, still have it, folded in my Bible where I keep important things, because sometimes the smallest gestures mean the most. Sometimes just witnessing someone's pain without demanding they explain it is the greatest kindness you can offer. Rose had the opposite reaction. Started talking constantly. Flood of words like a dam had broken. Endless stream of questions. Why is snow white? Where do birds go in winter? Can horses see color? How deep is the well? Why do we need sleep? What happens to people when they die? Do animals have souls? Will there always be bad men in the world? Normal kid questions. Beautiful to hear after weeks of traumatized silence, but also exhausting in their volume and intensity. Kate tried to stem the tide. Rose, honey, give Ethan some peace. He doesn't need to answer every question you think of. But I didn't mind. Let her ask. Let her wonder. Let her process what happened the only way she knows how. She's not really asking about snow or birds. She's asking if the world makes sense anymore. If there are rules, if things can be understood and predicted. And can they? Kate asked quietly when Rose was out of earshot. Sometimes, not always. That's the hard truth she's learning. That chaos exists, that bad things happen to good people, that the universe doesn't care about fairness. That's a terrible lesson for a 6-year-old. Better she learns it now with people who love her than later when she's alone. And better, she learns that even though chaos exists, good people still fight back, still protect each other, still make meaning out of madness. That's the other half of the lesson. The first real challenge came when the town found out what had happened in detail. The marshal's report went public. Had to, for the federal charges to proceed. 27 counts against Victor Blackwell. Murder, extortion, conspiracy, wire fraud, attempted murder of a federal marshal. Our story was in there prominently, but so were 6 others. 6 other families he destroyed or tried to destroy. 6 other lives shattered by greed masquerading as business. Some folks in Silver Creek didn't like it, didn't like what it implied. Blackwell had brought money to the territory. His mines employed dozens. His investments built businesses. His presence attracted other wealth. The fact that he'd done it all on blood and lies and murdered miners didn't matter to them as much as it should have. Economic pragmatism trumping moral clarity. Tale as old as civilization. We went to town 2 weeks after the siege ended, needed supplies we couldn't make or grow. Medicine for Rose, who'd caught a persistent cold from those days running through snow. Flour because we'd used most of ours. Coffee because I couldn't function without it. Lamp oil. Bullets to replace what we'd expended. Basic necessities of frontier life. The stares started immediately, before we'd even tied up the wagon. People stopping mid-conversation to watch us pass, pointing, whispering behind hands. Some admiring, eyes warm with respect or curiosity. Others hostile, faces hard with judgment or resentment. Murderer, someone muttered as we walked toward Henderson's general store. Couldn't see who in the small crowd. Didn't matter. The word hung in the air like smoke. Kate's hand tightened on mine, squeezed hard enough to hurt. Ignore them. They don't know what they're talking about. They weren't there. I intend to ignore them. Words are just air shaped by tongues. Can't hurt me unless I let them. But Ben had heard. His face went red, that particular shade that means a boy is about to do something stupid. Started to turn toward where the voice had come from, fist clenching. Keep walking, I said quietly but firmly. Sure gives small people the satisfaction of your anger. They want a reaction, want to feel important by provoking someone better than them. Don't give them that power. But they're calling you a murderer. You're not. You saved us. You're a hero. I'm neither murderer nor hero. I'm a man who did what needed doing, that's all. The opinions of people who weren't there don't change the facts. Don't change what I know to be true. That's all that matters in the end. We got our supplies. The shopkeeper, Henderson, was professional, but notably cold. No friendly chit-chat, no discount, no warm welcome. Charged us exact price, counted our money twice like he thought we might cheat him. Made a show of checking the bills for counterfeits. Message clear as church bells. We weren't welcome. We were trouble. Our money was good, but our presence was contamination. Ben noticed. Why is he being mean? We didn't do anything to him. Fear, I said. He's afraid. Afraid of being associated with us. Afraid Blackwell's friends might retaliate. Afraid of choosing sides in a conflict that might not be over. So he chooses distance, safety through neutrality. That's cowardly. Yes, but it's also human. Most people aren't brave. Most people just want to get through the... As we loaded the wagon outside, a familiar figure approached. Margaret Webb, the woman who'd shared her husband's story weeks ago at this very spot. But now her bearing had transformed entirely. Mrs. Cole, she said, using Kate's married name with deliberate respect. I had to find you to tell you what's happened. Kate set down the supplies. Margaret, what is it? The federal investigation. They've reopened Daniel's case officially. Called it what it truly was. Her voice grew stronger. Murder. Industrial murder. They're exhuming his body, re-examining the mine columns, everything. That's wonderful, Kate said, gripping Margaret's hands. More than wonderful. They've found 3 other cases just like Daniel's. 3 other men who complained about safety and died in accidents weeks later. All Blackwell's mines, all the same pattern. Margaret's eyes shone with vindicated tears. Because of your testimony. Because you stood up in that courtroom and told the truth. They're investigating everything, every mine, every accident, every suspicious death. A man approached behind Margaret. Young, maybe 25. He had Daniel's eyes. "This is my son, David," Margaret said. "He wanted to meet you, to thank the woman who gave his father's death meaning." David Webb extended his hand to Kate. "Ma spent 3 years being called crazy, called a liar, called a bitter widow making up conspiracies. Now everyone knows she was right, that my pa was murdered for trying to save lives. That matters more than you'll ever know, ma'am." Kate's tears fell freely now. "Your father was brave, one of the first to see what Blackwell really was." "He'd be proud of you," David said, "fighting back the way you did. That took the kind of courage he always talked about." After they left, Kate stood trembling, not from cold, from the weight of understanding how far the ripples had spread. "7 families," she whispered. "Tucker said 7 confirmed deaths in his testimony. How many more were there? How many Daniel Webbs that nobody fought for?" "We'll never know all of them," I said. "But because of you, the ones we do know are getting justice. That has to be enough." Ben had been quiet through the exchange, listening intently. Now he spoke. "Ethan, did we really do the right thing? I mean, Margaret's happy now, but 7 men still died. Fighting back didn't bring them back." Kate stood there shaking, trembling like she might collapse. "There are more, aren't there? More families he destroyed, more men he killed, more women like me who he tried to own or eliminate. Yes, probably dozens we'll never know about. Men like Blackwell, they're good at hiding bodies, good at making murder look like accident, good at silencing witnesses, good at buying off officials. That's how they operate for so long." "How many do you think? Total?" "More than we'll ever know. Tucker said 7 confirmed in his testimony, but that's just the ones with evidence, with witnesses willing to talk. Federal investigators think there might be 20, maybe more going back to when Blackwell first started his companies." Ben had been loading supplies, listening quietly. Now he spoke up, voice troubled. "Ethan, did we do the right thing fighting back?" "Yes, absolutely yes. But people died. 7 men in one day. I shot one of them, put a bullet in someone's leg. That man probably had a wife, kids, family who loved him. And I hurt him, maybe crippled him, maybe he died later from infection." I stopped loading, turned to give him full attention. This was important. This was the conversation that would shape how he understood violence for the rest of his life. "Ben, come here. Look at me." He did, those serious blue eyes meeting mine. Those men chose their path. They weren't conscripted, weren't forced. They chose to work for a man they knew was evil, chose to hunt women and children for money, chose to attack our home when we tried to defend ourselves. Every step of the way they had choices. They chose wrong. You didn't kill an innocent. You defended your family from people who meant us harm. But what if I'm like them now? What if killing, even in defense, changes me into something bad? What if I can't come back from it? Look at me. Really look." He did. "Do you feel proud of what you did?" "No." "Do you want to do it again?" "No, never." "Do you dream about it?" "Yes, every night." "And in those dreams, does it feel good or terrible?" "Terrible. The worst thing I've ever felt." "Then you are not like them. Bad men enjoy killing, feel powerful from it, sleep soundly afterward. You feel sick. You feel guilt. You understand the weight of what you did. That means you are still good. That means your conscience works. That means you're exactly who you should be." "But the dreams won't stop." "No, they probably won't. I still dream about men I killed in the war. 20 years later, and I still see their faces, still wonder about their families, still carry the weight. But that weight keeps me human, keeps me from becoming the kind of man who kills casually. The burden is the price, and it's worth paying." Ben thought about that for a long moment, processing, integrating, finally nodded. "Okay, I believe you. I trust you." "Good. Now, when we get home, you're going to write some letters." "To who?" "To the families of the men who died. Not saying you shot anyone specific, Just saying you were there when their father or husband or brother died. Saying you're sorry for their loss. Even if he chose wrong, they didn't. They're victims too. Their grief is real. Acknowledging that doesn't make us weak, makes us human. Kate looked at me surprised, maybe shocked. You really think that's wise? What if they blame him? What if they want revenge? Then they'll have to go through me, but I don't think they will. Most people, when you acknowledge their pain honestly, they appreciate it. They see you as human too. And it's hard to hate someone who treats you with dignity. That night, Ben sat at the kitchen table for 3 hours, wrote 6 drafts before he was satisfied. Simple letter, maybe 200 words, but every word chosen carefully. Honestly, expressing sorrow without claiming false guilt, acknowledging loss without apologizing for survival. He never got responses. But that wasn't the point. The point was remembering that bullets have names on the other side, that every death matters to someone, that even justified violence has consequences that ripple outward. I kept a copy of that letter, still have it, another thing in my Bible, because it showed me that Ben understood, that he'd learned the most important lesson, that being a good man who does violence is different from being a violent man. The difference is remembering the cost. The trial started in Denver 3 months later, March 1886, federal courthouse, big public spectacle, biggest trial the territory had seen in years. Newspapers from as far as New York and Boston sent reporters. Sketch artists, the new breed of journalists who understood that human drama sells papers, that people love watching the powerful fall. Sam Hayes came to get us personally, rode all the way from Helena to escort us, said Kate needed to testify, that her story was the one that broke the case open, the one that got everything else investigated, the domino that started the cascade. We made the journey, 5 days by train, first time any of us except me had been on a train. Ben and Rose pressed against the windows for hours, watching landscape blur past. Their excitement was something beautiful to witness, made the trip feel less like heading to confront our demons and more like family adventure. Denver was overwhelming, massive compared to Silver Creek. Thousands of people, hundreds of buildings, some 3, 4 stories tall. Electric lights in the wealthy districts, telephones in government offices, cable cars pulling passengers up hills, progress marching forward relentlessly whether we were ready or not. The courthouse itself was intimidating in its grandeur. Stone and marble imported from quarries back east, American flags everywhere, armed federal marshals at every entrance, high ceilings with elaborate molding, the weight of law made physical, made overwhelming, designed to make people feel small, to remind them that the government has power beyond their comprehension. Kate was terrified. I could see it in how she held Rose's hand too tight, how her breathing was rapid and shallow, how she kept smoothing her dress compulsively, how her eyes darted around like looking for exits. You don't have to do this, I told her the night before her testimony, in our hotel room after the children were asleep. Sam has other witnesses now. Tucker's testimony alone might be enough for conviction. You could stay silent. No one would blame you. No, she said, voice quiet but firm. I need to, for James, for Daniel Webb, for all the others whose names we don't even know. Someone has to stand up in public and say what he did. Say it clearly. Say it loud enough that it can't be ignored or minimized or forgotten. You're braver than anyone I've ever known. And I knew some brave men in the war. I'm not brave, I'm just too angry to be scared anymore. There's a difference. Brave people feel fear and act anyway. I'm past fear. I'm in rage, and rage is a powerful fuel. The courtroom was packed beyond capacity. Every seat filled, people standing 3 deep in the back, overflow crowd outside listening through open windows despite the cold. This was the trial of the decade. Rich mine owner versus widows and orphans. Goliath versus David with lawyers and judges instead of slings. Victor Blackwell sat at the defense table looking perfectly calm, expensive tailored suit, professional demeanor, perfect posture, hair neatly trimmed, hands folded serenely. Like this was all a minor inconvenience, an administrative error, like he wasn't facing multiple death sentences. His lawyers were the best money could buy, 3 of them, from big Eastern firms, Men who specialized in making guilty people look innocent, who could argue circles around simple Western prosecutors. But Sam had brought in help too. Federal prosecutor named Martin Gibson, formerly of the Justice Department, man who'd built his reputation breaking robber barons and corrupt politicians, man who didn't lose. Kate took the stand mid-morning on the third day, wore a simple blue dress, hair pulled back, no jewelry, no ostentation, just dignity and truth. She swore on the Bible, right hand raised. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. So help me God, she repeated. Sat down in the witness chair, straight back, hands folded, face composed, but I could see the terror underneath. The effort it took to maintain that composure. Gibson approached, friendly but professional. Mrs. Morrison, please tell the court how you knew Victor Blackwell. I didn't know him, not personally. I knew of him because he owned the mine where my husband worked, the Blackwell silver mine near Colorado Springs. And what happened to your husband? He died, mine collapse, November 2nd, 1884. What caused the collapse? The company said it was James's fault, that he'd improperly set support timbers, that he'd violated safety procedures, that he was negligent and his negligence killed him. Do you believe that? No, absolutely not. James was the most careful man I ever knew, meticulous about safety. He checked everything 3 times. He would never make that kind of mistake. Do you have evidence supporting your belief? Yes, his work notebook. He kept detailed records of every shift, every concern, every time he reported problems to supervisors. Gibson pulled out a small leather journal, worn, stained with dirt and sweat, the journal of a working man. Is this the notebook? Kate's voice caught. Yes, that's James's handwriting, his records. Your Honor, I'd like to enter this as Exhibit A. So ordered. Gibson opened the journal. Mrs. Morrison, what does this notebook show? Kate's voice stayed steady, getting stronger. It shows James reported structural problems in Shaft C 3 separate times in the month before his death. October 3rd, October 12th, and October 28th. Each time he warned the shift supervisor that the support timbers were inadequate, that the load calculations were wrong, that the shaft was dangerous. What did the supervisor say? They told him to keep working, said the company engineer had approved the design, said James didn't have the education to question it, told him if he didn't like it, he could find work elsewhere. Why didn't he quit? Because we needed the money, because jobs were scarce, because Blackwell's company controlled most mining in the region. If you got blacklisted, you couldn't work anywhere. You starved. Your family starved. So he stayed and he documented and he hoped someone would listen. But no one did. No one did. And on November 2nd, Shaft C collapsed, killed James and 2 other men. Exactly what he'd predicted, exactly what he'd warned about, and the company blamed him for it. Her voice was getting louder now, angrier, the rage she'd mentioned breaking through. They blamed the victim. They blamed the man who'd tried to save lives. They made him responsible for his own murder. Blackwell's lawyers objected. Judge sustained, told the jury to disregard the characterization. But you can't unhear words, can't unfeel their impact. Gibson continued. What happened after your husband died? This was the crucial part. Kate took a breath, steadied herself. 1 week after the funeral, Mr. Blackwell came to my house, personally, said he wanted to discuss the situation. I let him in because I thought he was going to apologize, to admit fault, to offer compensation. Was that what happened? No, he said James had debts, equipment fees, advance wages, housing costs. Said I owed the company $2,400. Gasps from the gallery. That was a fortune. 10 years' wages for most men. An impossible sum. Did your husband actually owe that money? No, James never borrowed, never took advances. We paid cash for everything. Lived simply, saved what we could. I have our financial records, every cent accounted for. No debts, no advances, nothing. So Mr. Blackwell was lying. Objection, speculation. Sustained, rephrase. Did you believe the debt was real? No, I knew it was fabricated, made up, a legal fiction designed to trap me. What did Mr. Blackwell say when you told him you didn't believe the debt was real? Kate looked directly at Blackwell for the first time, eye to eye, unflinching, unafraid. He said it didn't matter what I believed, that the company's books showed debt, that debt had to be paid, that I could either pay it in cash, which he knew I didn't have, or I could marry him, that if I married him, the debt would disappear. The courtroom erupted. Judge banged gavel, called for order, took 5 minutes to restore quiet. Gibson waited, let the impact sink in. Then, what did you say to this proposal? I refused, said I'd rather die than marry a man who killed my husband. Objection, Your Honor, this is outrageous. Mrs. Morrison has no evidence. My client overruled. The witness may state what she said. Continue, Mrs. Morrison. Kate's voice was steel now, pure steel. I told him no, told him I knew what he'd done, told him I would never, ever marry him, told him to get out of my house. And what happened next? 3 days later, men came to my house at night. They burned my wagon, shot at us, my children and I ran. We had nothing but the clothes on our backs. They chased us, shot at us again, hunted us like animals across 2 territories for 4 days and 4 nights. Did you know who these men were? Tucker Graves was their leader. I recognized him. He'd been at the mine, worked for Blackwell directly. And where did you end up? In a barn, an abandoned barn on Ethan Cole's property in Montana. We were freezing, starving. My children were dying, and if not for that man, her voice broke. First time. If not for Ethan Cole, we would all be dead. He saved our lives, protected us, stood against those men when he had no reason to. He's the real hero of this story. She pointed at me in the gallery. Every eye followed. I wanted to disappear. Gibson let the moment breathe. Then, thank you, Mrs. Morrison. No further questions. The cross-examination was brutal, expected but still hard to watch. Blackwell's lead attorney was a man named Carlisle. Eastern educated, expensive suit, condescending manner. He tried everything. Painted Kate as a liar, a gold digger, a seductress who'd entrapped me for my land and money, a bad mother who'd endangered her children by running instead of accepting Blackwell's generous offer, a woman of questionable morals who'd remarried suspiciously quickly after her husband's death. Every question designed to demean, to undermine, to make the jury see her as untrustworthy. Kate handled it with incredible dignity. Never raised her voice, never lost composure, just answered honestly, simply, let the truth speak for itself. When Carlisle tried to twist her words, she corrected him calmly. When he made implications, she addressed them directly. Are you suggesting I seduced Mr. Cole? I'm suggesting your relationship with him developed very quickly. When you're being hunted, relationships accelerate. When someone saves your life, gratitude turns to trust very fast. There's nothing inappropriate about that. It's human nature. But you married him within months. 6 months, after a proper mourning period. After we were certain, after the children had time to adjust. What's suspicious about that? Carlisle had no good answer. When Kate finally stepped down 3 hours later, she was shaking with exhaustion, but victorious. She'd held her ground, told her truth, made herself heard. I met her outside the courtroom, held her while she cried. Relief tears, rage tears, exhaustion tears, all of it pouring out. You did perfect, I said, absolutely perfect. I wanted to scream at him, at Carlisle, at Blackwell, tell them what monsters they are, how many lives they've destroyed. You did better. You showed the truth, showed your strength. That's more powerful than any scream. Anger fades, truth endures. Tucker Graves testified the next day, brought from prison in chains. He looked terrible. Gut shot wound had healed badly, left him with permanent damage, constant pain, needed a cane to walk. Only 35 years old, but looked 60, Sam had worked him for months, building trust, offering hope, making promises. Tucker had finally broken, agreed to testify fully, give up everything, in exchange for life instead of death. He told it all, How Blackwell had ordered him to harass Kate, make her desperate, drive her to accept the marriage proposal. How similar tactics had been used on 3 other women in similar circumstances. How mine accidents were arranged when workers complained too much or threatened to expose problems. How supervisors were bribed. How inspectors were paid off. How local law enforcement looked the other way for the right price. Other witnesses followed. Daniel Webb's widow, Margaret, testified about her husband's death. 4 other widows told similar stories. Federal mine inspectors testified about violations. Engineers testified about impossible safety margins. Accountants testified about fraudulent debt records. The evidence was overwhelming, damning, undeniable. Blackwell's lawyers tried. Give them credit for that. They fought hard, brought character witnesses, presented alternative theories, suggested conspiracies against their client, but they were drowning in truth. No amount of legal expertise could overcome the sheer weight of evidence. Verdict came after 6 days of deliberation, 6 days of waiting, 6 days of Kate pacing our hotel room wearing grooves in the carpet, 6 days of Ben growing quieter, retreating into himself, 6 days of Rose asking, "Is it over yet?" every few hours, 6 days of me trying to maintain confidence I didn't feel. What if one juror holds out? Kate asked on the 5th night. What if someone's been bought? What if they can't reach a decision? Then we've still won, I said. We exposed him, put his crimes in the public record. Even if he walks on technicalities, everyone knows what he is now. That's not enough. That's not justice. No, but sometimes it's all we get. On the morning of the 6th day, a knock at our hotel door. Sam stood there, face carefully neutral. Jury's reached a decision. Court reconvenes in an hour. The walk to the courthouse felt like walking to a hanging. Could be ours or Blackwell's. We wouldn't know until the foreman spoke. The courtroom was even more packed than during testimony. People had camped outside for days waiting for this moment. Reporters, widows, miners, common citizens who wanted to see if justice still meant anything. We took our seats. Kate's hand found mine. Squeezed so hard I lost feeling in my fingers. Ben sat on my other side, rigid as iron. Rose pressed against Kate, eyes wide. The jury filed in. I studied their faces desperately. Tried to read them. Some looked grim, others satisfied. One older woman was crying. What did that mean? Relief? Disappointment? The judge entered. Everyone stood, sat, the rituals of law playing out while my heart hammered. Has the jury reached a verdict? Judge Morrison asked. The foreman stood, an older man, farmer by the look of his weathered hands and sun-creased face. He held a piece of paper like it weighed 100 pounds. We have, Your Honor. What say you? The pause felt like eternity, like the whole world stopped spinning, stopped breathing, stopped existing except for this one moment. The foreman looked directly at Blackwell, then at Kate, then back to the judge. We the jury, he said clearly, voice carrying to every corner of the packed room, find the defendant, Victor Blackwell, guilty on count 1, murder in the first degree of James Morrison. Kate's gasp was audible across the courtroom. Her nails dug into my hand. Guilty on count 2, murder in the first degree of Daniel Webb. The foreman continued, reading all 27 counts, each one punctuated by that single word, guilty, 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 guilty. 27 times, each word like a hammer blow, each word a piece of justice claimed. When he finished, the courtroom didn't just erupt, it exploded. People cheering, crying, screaming, strangers hugging strangers. Margaret Webb collapsed to her knees, sobbing, "Thank God, thank God." Over and over, other widows held each other, years of suppressed grief finally finding release. Kate turned into my chest and broke. Deep, wrenching sobs that shook her entire body. Not just relief, something deeper. The unburdening of a weight she'd carried so long she'd forgotten what life felt like without it. Ben and Rose threw themselves at us. We stood there, all 4 of us tangled together while chaos swirled around us. A family that had survived, had won, had made it matter. I looked over at Blackwell. He sat frozen, face chalk white, hands trembling uncontrollably. The reality finally truly penetrating. He was going to hang, actually hang. No amount of money could save him now. No lawyer could argue this away. No bribe could fix this. His lawyers were already packing their briefcases, abandoning him, professional courtesy ending where self-preservation began. The judge banged his gavel repeatedly, took 10 full minutes to restore order. Mr. Blackwell, Judge Morrison said formally, you have been found guilty on all counts. Sentencing will occur in 2 weeks. Until then, you will be remanded to federal custody without possibility of bail. Bailiff, remove the prisoner. Blackwell tried to speak. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. Shock had stolen his voice. They led him away in chains, past the widows who'd testified, past the minors who'd lost friends, past Kate, who looked at him with something beyond hate. Pity, maybe, or just exhaustion. Outside the courthouse, the crowd was massive, hundreds of people. News had spread fast. Someone started clapping, then another, then dozens, then hundreds. Applause that rolled like thunder, not for us specifically, for justice, for the idea that rich men could face consequences, for the proof that sometimes, rarely, the system worked. Is it really over? Kate asked quietly amid the noise. The trial is. The rest. I looked at our children, at the future we'd fought for. The rest is just beginning. We won. We survived. That's better than winning. She kissed me then, long and deep and full of everything words couldn't hold. Relief and love and hope and the knowledge that we'd done it. Together, against impossible odds. We'd done it. The courtroom erupted, cheering, crying. Kate collapsed against me, sobbing. Ben and Rose hugged each other. Margaret Webb screamed, "Thank God!" Over and over. Blackwell showed emotion for the first time. Face went white, hands started shaking. The reality finally penetrating. He was done. Finished. Dead man breathing. Sentencing was set for 2 weeks later. Death by hanging. Multiple counts of premeditated murder. No possibility of appeal on those grounds. We didn't stay for the sentencing. Couldn't. Too much weight, too much death, too much everything. We'd done our part, given our testimony, faced our demon in open court. Time to go home, time to start healing. On the train ride back, Rose asked the question that had probably been building for months. The question we'd all been dancing around. Mama, are we going to live with Ethan forever? Kate looked at me. Long look, meaningful look. We'd discussed this privately, but never with the children. Would you like that? Kate asked carefully. Living at the ranch forever, making it our permanent home? Yes, Rose said immediately. No hesitation. Ethan teaches me things, and Ben likes it there. And Whiskey has a whole barn to play in, and it's warm and safe, and I'm not scared anymore. What about your father? Don't you miss him? Rose got very serious. That particular 6-year-old seriousness that's both heartbreaking and adorable. I miss Papa every single day. I think about him all the time, but he's not coming back. He can't. And Ethan's here now, and he's nice to us. And he makes you smile, Mama. You smile so much now. Don't you like him? Kate laughed through tears. Yes, sweetheart, I like him very much. Then we should stay. Because when you like someone and they're nice and they make you smile, you should stay with them. That is what makes sense. Simple child logic, devastating in its clarity, cutting through all adult complexity and confusion straight to the heart of truth. Ben spoke up, been quiet most of the ride. I think we should stay too, but not just because it's nice, because it's right. Because we're family now. Ethan's not replacing Pa. Nobody could. But he's teaching me things Pa would have wanted me to know. And he protects us. And he treats Mama like a partner, not property. That's what matters. Kate was fully crying now. When did you get so wise? Had to grow up fast, but that's okay. I'm okay. We're all okay. And we'll be more okay if we stay together. That night, after the children slept in their train berth, Kate and I talked in the observation car. Empty at midnight, just us and the clicking rails and the dark landscape rolling past. They're right, you know, Kate said, leaning against me. About everything. About staying, about being family, about me smiling. Do you smile more? So much more. I hadn't realized how much I'd stopped smiling until I started again. Grief had made me forget how. You reminded me. I didn't do anything special. You did everything special. You saw me as a person, not a problem. You protected my children without demanding ownership of them. You gave us space to heal while also giving us structure. You were exactly what we needed when we needed it. I needed you too, more than you know. House had been dead for 4 years. You brought it back to life. Is that why you want us to stay? Because we made your house feel alive? No. I want you to stay because somewhere between finding you in that barn and watching you testify in court, you stopped being guests and started being mine. Mine to protect, mine to care for, mine to love. And I know that sounds possessive, but I don't mean it that way. I mean it like belonging, like we belong to each other, like we're meant to be together. Kate was quiet for a long time. Then, I think I'm ready. Ready for what? To say yes, to marry you properly. Not just living together, not just partnership, marriage, real marriage, making it official, making it permanent. My heart did something complicated, chumped and stopped and started again all at once. You're sure, but it's been almost 2 years since James died. But still, I'm sure James was my past, good past, important past, but past. You're my present and future, the children's present and future. I can honor James's memory while also moving forward with you. Those things don't contradict. They complement. When? Soon, maybe June. Give us time to get home, settle, make preparations. But soon, I don't want to wait anymore. Life's too short. We learned that the hard way. June then, I'll marry you in June. She kissed me. Long kiss, deep kiss, real kiss. Not gratitude, not comfort. Love, actual love. The kind you build together through shared struggle. The kind that endures. We married in June like we promised. Simple ceremony at the ranch. Sam came back to witness and sign documents. Few neighbors who'd warmed to us after the trial. Margaret Webb came with her 2 young sons. We'd become friends through shared experience, through understanding what it means to lose and survive. Ben stood with me as my best man. 9 years old, but serious as any adult. Wore his only suit, stood straight, held the rings, did everything perfect. Rose through flowers, wore a yellow dress Kate had sewn, scattered petals everywhere, giggled constantly, pure joy unfiltered. Kate wore blue, same blue as that first dress as she'd sewn after we got to the ranch. Not traditional white. She'd been married before. This was different, honest, real. Second beginning, not first. The ceremony was short. We'd written our own vows, simple promises. I promised to stand beside you, to protect you, to honor you, to see you as partner, not possession, to love your children as my own, to build a life worthy of the struggle we survived. I promised to stand beside you, to trust you, to support you, to see you as partner, not savior, to let you love my children, to build a life worthy of the man who gave us back our future. We exchanged rings, Rachel's ring on her finger, Anna's on mine, both women present in spirit, both part of this new family. The kiss was real, long. Applause erupted. Rose shouted, "Finally!" And everyone laughed. The party after was small but joyful. Music from a traveling musician Sam had brought. Dancing, food, real joy. The kind that comes after surviving darkness. I danced with Kate, awkward at first. Been decades since I danced. But she was patient. We found our rhythm, then I danced with Rose. She stood on my feet. I walked her around. She laughed so hard she got hiccups. Then with Kate again. Then with Margaret Webb, who needed someone to dance with. Then with Kate a third time because I couldn't stay away. Ben asked Margaret to dance, awkward 9-year-old trying to be polite. She accepted gracefully. They stumbled through one song. At the end, Ben bowed formally. She curtsied. Everyone clapped. "That's your son," Kate said, watching him with pride. "Our son," I corrected. "If you'll let me help raise him properly." "I'd be honored. He needs a father. You need a son. It's perfect." That night, after everyone left, the four of us sat on the porch. Our family, complete, looking at stars and listening to crickets and feeling peace for the first time in months. Tell us a story, Pa, Rose said. She'd started calling me that 2 months earlier. First time nearly killed me with happiness. Second time was easier. Now it was natural. What kind of story do you want? A happy one, with no bad men or danger or running, just happy. I thought about it. Once upon a time, there was a man who thought his life was over. He'd lost everyone he loved, lived alone in a big house on a big property, was very sad for a very long time. So sad he forgot how to smile. That's not happy yet, Rose protested. Wait, be patient. Then one day, during a terrible winter storm, three people found him. A brave woman who wouldn't give up, a strong boy who protected his family, and a sweet little girl who still believed in goodness. They needed help desperately, and helping them reminded the man how to live again, how to smile again, how to love again. Did they stay with him? Forever and ever. They became a family, a real family, built from choice and love and shared survival. And they were happy. Not always. Life isn't always happy, but mostly. And that's all anyone can ask for. That's a good story. Best story I know, because it's true, it's our story. A year passed, then another. Life settled into rhythms. Cattle, crops, seasons. The endless cycle of ranch life. Kate got pregnant in the second year. We'd hoped, but didn't expect it. She was 30, not old, but not young for having babies. Pregnancy was always risky on the frontier. I worried constantly. Couldn't help it. Lost Rachel to childbirth. Couldn't lose Kate too. The fear was constant, consuming. She saw my worry, addressed it head on like she addressed everything. Ethan, I might die. Women do. Childbirth is dangerous, but I might not, probably won't. Medicine's getting better. We have time to prepare, to get help. And if something happens, you'll have Ben and Rose. You'll have this baby. You won't be alone like before. You'll still have family. I don't want another baby if it costs you. Can't do that trade. Won't do it. That's not your choice. It's happening. Baby's coming, whether you're ready or not. So instead of worrying yourself sick, help me prepare properly. Build a crib. Find a good midwife or doctor. Be present. Be supportive. That's what I need from you. She was right. Worrying fixed nothing. Action helped. So I did those things. Sam sent a doctor from Denver, woman named Sarah Chen, specialized in difficult births. Chinese immigrant who trained in San Francisco. Brilliant. Experienced. She came a month early, stayed at the ranch, monitored Kate daily, gave instructions, prepared for complications. The birth happened during a snowstorm. Of course it did. Everything important in my life happened during snow. Some kind of cosmic pattern. Labor started at dawn, lasted 9 hours. I stayed with Kate the whole time, despite Chen saying most husbands waited outside. Kate wanted me there. I stayed. Held her hand, let her squeeze until my bones ached. Let her curse at me when contractions peaked. Told her she was strong, doing perfect, almost there. All the useless things men say when they're helpless. Dr. Chen was calm, professional, expert hands moving with practiced confidence. One more push, Mrs. Cole. I can see the head clearly now. One more and we'll have your baby. Kate pushed, screamed, pushed harder, and then suddenly crying. Strong, healthy crying, the most beautiful sound in the world. It's a girl, Dr. Chen announced, holding up a tiny red-faced angry baby. Healthy girl, good lungs, strong heartbeat. Perfect. She placed the baby on Kate's chest. Tiny, maybe 6 pounds, red-faced, squalling, furious at being born, but alive, strong, ours. Kate cried, I cried. Dr. Chen probably cried too, though she'd never admit it. Ben and Rose burst in despite being told to wait outside. Had to see their sister immediately. What should we name her? Kate asked, exhausted but glowing. I looked at this baby, this miracle, the second chance at fatherhood I never thought I'd get. Rachel Anna Cole, I said, after both grandmothers. Both women who should be here to see this. Both women who would have loved her. Kate smiled through tears. Perfect. Rachel Anna Cole. Welcome to the family, little one. Welcome to the world. Dr. Chen finished her final checks, cleaning the baby, examining her carefully. As she wrapped Rachel Anna in a fresh blanket, something made her pause. Mr. Cole, she said quietly, come look at this. I leaned closer. Dr. Chen pointed to the baby's left wrist. A birthmark, small, reddish-brown, shaped almost like a five-pointed star. Distinct, unmistakable. The world stopped. What is it? Kate asked, seeing my face go white. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. My hand trembled as I touched the tiny mark. Ethan? Kate's voice grew worried. What's wrong? That mark, I finally whispered. On her wrist. It's just a birthmark. Common enough. No. My voice cracked. Anna had the exact same mark, exact same spot, same wrist, same shape. I'd know it anywhere. I held that little hand every single day for 3 years, traced that mark with my finger when I tucked her in at night. The room went silent. Even Dr. Chen stopped moving. Kate stared at the birthmark, then at me, then at the baby. You're absolutely certain? I bathed that child every night, dressed her every morning. Kissed that mark 1,000 times. Yes, I'm certain. Dr. Chen spoke carefully. Such birthmarks can run in families, through genetic lines, but for one to appear in the exact same location, with the exact same shape, in a child who shares no blood relation to the original. She trailed off. That's extraordinarily rare. Beyond coincidence. Kate's tears flowed freely now. She's watching over us. Anna is. She sent this baby. Marked her so we'd know. And Rachel, I added, voice breaking. Rachel's here too. Both grandmothers. Both watching. Both blessing this child. I picked up Rachel Anna carefully, held her close, looked at that impossible mark that connected my past to my future. My first daughter to my third. Welcome home, baby girl, I whispered. Your grandmother Anna has been waiting for you, and she marked you so I'd always remember. So I'd always know you're part of her, part of all of us. Ben and Rose crowded around, staring at the mark with wonder. Does that mean Anna's still with us? Rose asked. That she never really left? Maybe, I said. Or maybe it just means love doesn't die. It transforms. It continues. It finds ways to remind us that those we've lost are never truly gone. Ben held her carefully, like she was made of the most delicate glass. She's so small. Was I this small? Smaller, actually. You were a tiny baby. This one's good-sized. Can I teach her things when she's older? Like Ethan taught me? Yes, you'll be her big brother. Important job. Rose kissed the baby's head. Gentle. Sweet. I love her already. I'll protect her forever. Nobody will ever hurt her. I promise. Thank you, sweetheart. That's exactly what big sisters do. And just like that, our family was complete. Not the family I'd imagined when I married Rachel. Not the family I'd thought I'd have, but the family I needed. The family built from broken pieces. The family that chose each other. Rachel Anna grew up strong, healthy, happy, looked like both her namesakes, Rachel's coloring and a smile, Kate's determination, my stubbornness. Perfect combination. Ben grew into a man I was incredibly proud of, took over the ranch when I got too old to manage it properly, married a good woman named Emma from Silver Creek, had 3 children, your father William, your uncle Thomas, your aunt Sarah. Rose became a teacher. Taught in Silver Creek for 40 years. Never married. Said she was married to her students. Said shaping young minds was her calling. Hundreds of children learned to read from her. Learned to think. Learned to question. Good work. Important work. Legacy that matters. Rachel Anna married a doctor from Helena, a man named Marcus Chen, Sarah Chen's nephew. Moved to Helena, had 2 daughters, visited twice a year, wrote weekly, maintained connection. Good daughter who understood that distance doesn't mean abandonment. Kate and I had 26 years together. 26 years of partnership, of love, of building something that mattered. She died in her sleep at 56. Heart gave out suddenly. No warning, no pain. I woke up next to her one morning and she was gone. Like she'd just decided it was time. like she'd done everything she needed to do and was ready to rest. I grieved, still do, but different than I grieved Rachel, because Kate gave me so much. Taught me how to live again after I'd given up, how to love without fear, how to be part of something bigger than myself. That kind of gift doesn't end with death. It continues, multiplies, becomes legacy. Now here we are. I'm 70 years old, too old to work cattle, too old to ride properly, but not too old to remember, not too old to pass down what matters. This ranch, William and Thomas, was built on more than land and hard work. It was built on choices made in desperate moments, on deciding to help when it was easier to hide, on standing against evil even when outmatched, on loving again after loss tried to destroy the capacity for love. That's the legacy I'm giving you. Not just property, not just money in the bank, but the story, the truth about where you came from, about the people who came before, about the sacrifices made so you could exist. Your great-grandmother Kate was running for her life when she stumbled into my barn 35 years ago. Could have died there. Probably should have died there statistically. Instead, she found safety, found family, found home, found love she didn't expect and didn't think she deserved but accepted anyway. Your grandfather Ben was 9 years old when he learned to shoot. 9 years old when he killed a man defending his family. That should have destroyed him. Instead, it taught him what truly matters, that protecting innocent people is worth any personal cost, that violence has weight, but sometimes weight must be carried, that being good doesn't mean being safe. Sometimes good means being dangerous to dangerous people. Your great-aunt Rose was traumatized into silence by 4 days running through winter, then found her voice again, spent her life helping others find theirs, teaching, nurturing, building. That's transformation. That's alchemy, turning pain into purpose. Your grandmother Rachel Anna was born during a snowstorm in a house that had survived a siege months earlier. Born into a family built from shattered pieces, grew up knowing that love is stronger than blood. That choice matters more than circumstance. That families aren't born, they're made. And me, I was a cowboy who became a soldier, who became a rancher, who became a dead man walking. I'd spent 10 years after the war working cattle, learning the land, saving money, built this ranch with those savings and the skills I'd learned on the trail, then lost everything that mattered when Rachel and Anna died. Spent 4 years going through motions without meaning, existing without living. Then 3 strangers needed help, and I remembered what it meant to be alive, to matter, to fight for something beyond mere survival. Remembered the cowboy code I learned on those long drives. You help people who need helping. You stand up for those who can't stand for themselves. You do what's right even when it's hard. That's your heritage, boys. Not perfection, not easy choices, not simple stories with clear morals, but the willingness to stand when others fall, to fight when others flee, to love when others hide behind fear and self-protection. The winter of 1885 changed everything, not just for me, for 6 other families who got justice because Kate testified, for dozens of miners who got safety reforms because Blackwell's crimes were exposed, for you 2 boys who exist because I chose to open that barn door instead of walking away. Small choices, enormous consequences. So when your time comes, when someone needs help and it would be safer to look away, remember this story. Remember that your great-grandfather was a broken man who became whole by protecting strangers. Remember that your great-grandmother survived by refusing to accept the world as it was and fighting for the world as it should be. Remember that 3 inches separated a family from total destruction, and sometimes 3 inches, 3 seconds, one choice is all God gives us. The question isn't whether the margin is small. The question is what we do with the margin we're given. Victor Blackwell hanged on August 14th, 1886. Federal execution. Public spectacle. I didn't attend. Didn't want to. His death didn't bring James back. Didn't undo the 7 other murders. Didn't fix what he'd broken. Just stopped him from breaking more. Sometimes that's all justice can do. Prevent future harm. Can't repair the pieces. Can only protect the future. Tucker Graves served 12 years. Got out in 1898. Came to the ranch unannounced. Asked to see me. I met him at the property line, same spot where his camp had been, where he'd waited to kill us. Mr. Cole, he said, looking older than his years, permanent limp from the gut shot. I came to apologize for everything, for hunting your family, for being part of what Blackwell did, for choosing money over morality. You testified against him, turned on him when it mattered. That counts for something substantial. Does it? Does it really? 7 families destroyed, 23 men dead across all his schemes. My testimony doesn't bring them back, doesn't undo the harm, just made me complicit in a different way. It stopped more deaths, more families being destroyed. That's significant. That's meaningful. Tucker nodded slowly. I've spent 12 years thinking about who I was, who I became, what I did. I'm not that man anymore. Prison changed me, or maybe just gave me time to remember who I was before greed took over. Good. Don't go back to being him. Be the man you should have been all along. Could you ever forgive me? Truly? Not just legally, but actually? I thought about that seriously, about forgiveness, about what it means, about whether it's even possible for some things. I don't know, honestly. You put a bullet 3 inches from my son's head, hunted the woman I love across 2 territories, made children run barefoot through snow, destroyed families for money. That's hard to forgive, maybe impossible. I understand I wouldn't forgive me either, but I don't hate you. Hate takes energy I don't have to spare. You paid your legal debt, 12 years in prison, testimony that brought down a bigger monster. You're trying to be better. That's all any of us can do. Try to be better than we were. Thank you. That's more grace than I deserve. Probably, but grace isn't about deserving. It's about recognizing shared humanity, even in people who've done terrible things. You're not irredeemable, just deeply flawed like everyone else. Difference is you're trying. That counts. He left. Never saw him again. Heard through letters he moved to California. Became a carpenter. Quiet life. Never married. Lived simply. Died in 1912 at 57. Heart attack. Quick death. Maybe found some peace before the end. I hope he did. Everyone deserves that chance. Even people who've done terrible things. Now it's late. Snow's still falling outside. Same as it did 35 years ago. Same as it will 35 years from now. Land remains. Seasons cycle. Stories continue. Tomorrow I'll rest. Day after we'll talk about smaller things. Funny stories. The time Ben tried to ride a bull and broke his arm. The time Rose accidentally dyed all the sheep pink with berry juice. The time Rachel Anna convinced her cousins to mine for gold. And they dug up half the garden. But the big story, the foundational story, that's complete now. That's yours. Pass it down to your children, their children. Keep it alive. Keep it true. And William Thomas, thank you for listening, for caring about an old man's memories, for wanting to know where you came from. That kind of respect for history, for family, for truth, that's rare these days. Hold on to it. You're good boys. You'll be good men. I can see it clearly. Just remember what I've taught you, what this story teaches. Being a man isn't about how many fights you win. It's about who you protect while you're fighting. The snow falls, the fire burns, the story ends. But the legacy continues, and that's enough. More than enough. That's everything.